Archimedes Principle and the mystery of floating. Picture this. Why does a solid block of steel sink like a stone, just straight down to the bottom of the ocean, but a massive 10,000-ton steel cargo ship floats completely effortlessly on the surface? I mean, they are made of the exact same heavy material, right? The steel didn't magically lose its mass. So what's changing here? What is that invisible mechanism actually pushing up against all of that immense weight?
Well, by the end of this explainer, you're going to understand exactly how this works. We're going to completely conquer the concept of buoyant force, break down the actual mathematical formula behind it step by step, and see how you can apply this to real-world mysteries, from submarines all the way to counterfeit gold. Section 1. The intuition. What exactly is buoyant force?
Okay, so imagine an object, let's just say a cylinder, completely submerged in water. Now, fluids exert pressure, right? And a fundamental rule of fluid statics is that pressure increases with depth. Think about diving down to the bottom of a really deep swimming pool. You can actually feel that pressure building up on your ears. Because of this rule, the fluid pushing down on the top of our submerged object is exerting less force than the deeper fluid pushing up on the bottom of it. And since that upward force on the bottom is always greater than the downward force on the top, you get a net upward push. That upward push, that's what we call the buoyant force.
Now, depending on how this upward buoyant force compares to the downward weight of the object itself, one of three things is going to happen. If the buoyant force is greater than the weight, the object rises and floats. Simple enough. If it's less than the weight, the object sinks. And if the buoyant force perfectly equals the weight, the object is suspended, just kind of perfectly hovering there. But, and this is absolutely crucial, that net upward buoyant force is always present, no matter which of those three outcomes actually happens.
Now that we've got the basic idea down, let's look at Section 2, the formalization. Archimedes' Principle explained.
Archimedes' Principle simply states that the buoyant force on an object equals the weight of the fluid it displaces. It's an incredibly elegant rule, honestly. Archimedes figured this out all the way back around 250 BC, long before our modern rigorous concepts of physics and force were even a thing. Essentially, the upward push exactly equals the weight of the liquid that was just pushed out of the way. Let's walk through this formula step by step, just like we're writing it out on a chalkboard together. Step 1. You submerge an object in a fluid. Step 2. That object has to take up space, which means it displaces a specific volume of that fluid. Step 3. If you could somehow gather up all of that displaced fluid and put it on a scale, you'd find its weight, and we're going to call that W sub fl. Finally, step 4. That weight is exactly equal to the buoyant force pushing up on your object. So F sub B equals W sub fl. All right, let's test our understanding for a second. Think back to that question I asked at the very beginning of the explainer. What if we take that solid, sinking 10,000-ton block of steel and we mold it into a wide, hollow boat shape? Now, the total mass of the steel hasn't changed at all. But what happens to the displaced fluid? Well, by changing the shape, the hollow boat displaces a massively larger volume of water. Because it pushes so much more water out of the way, the maximum buoyant force absolutely shoots up. In fact, a boat shape can displace enough water that the maximum buoyant force becomes literally 10 times the steel's actual weight. That is exactly why it floats, and it's why it can carry massive amounts of heavy cargo without sinking to the bottom. Moving right along to Section 3, density and specific gravity, the mathematics of floating. So the average density of an object is what ultimately dictates if it's going to float. And this formula brilliantly illustrates exactly how much of it will sit underwater. If you want to know the fraction of a floating object that's submerged, you simply divide the average density of the object by the density of the fluid. This is exactly why an empty, unloaded cargo ship floats super high up in the water, but sinks much lower down to the waterline when it's fully loaded with cargo. The added mass of that cargo increases the ship's overall average density. We actually formalize this comparison with a measurement called specific gravity. Specific gravity is just a dimensionless ratio of the density of an object to a fluid, and that fluid is almost always fresh water at 4 degrees Celsius. It's really just a quick, standardized way to check the condition of fluids out in the real world. For example, mechanics use these cool little devices called hydrometers, which float inside a liquid to measure its specific gravity, letting them instantly test things like battery acid or radiator fluid. If an object's specific gravity is less than 1, boom, it floats. Let's make this super practical with a quick mini example. If a 60-kilogram woman floats gently in a freshwater pool with her lungs completely full of air, based on that formula we just looked at, what percentage of her volume do you think is actually submerged? Take a quick guess. The answer is 97.0%. See, the average human body, with its lungs full of air, has a density of about 970 kilograms per cubic meter. Since water has a density of exactly 1,000, 970 divided by 1,000 gives us exactly 97%. Now, surprisingly enough, this exact math is used in medical diagnostics. By weighing subjects while they are completely submerged underwater, doctors can calculate their average body density, which is actually a highly accurate indicator of body fat percentage.
And let's connect these concepts to the wider world for a second, because buoyancy is definitely not just about water. It applies to any fluid. Helium balloons tugging upward on their strings? Yep, that's the denser air sinking down and pushing the lighter balloon up. Submarines? They actively flood or empty their ballast tanks with water to adjust their average density, which lets them sink or hover at will. Even the seemingly solid Earth has fluid characteristics. Massive mountain ranges literally float on the higher density, semi-fluid mantle deep beneath the Earth's crust. It's wild.
Which brings us to Section 4, Real-World Buoyancy Applications, the Counterfeit Crown Mystery. So the famous story goes that the king of Syracuse suspected his crown maker was stealing gold and replacing it with cheaper silver. He tasked Archimedes with proving it, but with one catch: he couldn't damage the crown. Archimedes supposedly agonized over this, until he stepped into a public bath and physically felt the water supporting his body's weight. He suddenly realized that the displaced water could precisely measure the crown's irregular volume and therefore its density. He was so mind-blown by this revelation that he purportedly jumped out and ran naked down the street shouting, "Eureka, I have found it!"
What Archimedes figured out in that bathtub brings us to the concept of apparent weight. Now, pay close attention here. This is key. When you weigh an object in the air, you get its real weight. But when you weigh that exact same object while it's completely submerged in a fluid, it appears to weigh less because that buoyant force is actively pushing up on it. That is its apparent weight. The apparent weight loss, so the difference between those two measurements, equals exactly the weight of the fluid that was displaced.
Let's guide you through a practical calculation to prove exactly how Archimedes' principle can still validate authenticity today. Step 1. We weigh an ancient Greek coin in the air. Let's say it's 8.630 grams. Step 2. We weigh that same coin while it's completely submerged in water. Now it reads 7.800 grams. Step 3. That means the apparent mass loss is 0.830 grams. And because water has a density of exactly 1 gram per cubic centimeter, that means the coin displaced exactly 0.830 cubic centimeters of water. Step 4. Divide the real mass, 8.630, by that volume, 0.830, and you calculate a density of 10.4 grams per cubic centimeter. A quick check of a materials table confirms this matches pure silver perfectly. The math verifies the history. All right, Section 5, Summary and Final Thoughts. Wrapping up Archimedes' Principle.
Before we finish up, here is your quick summary checklist. First, remember that buoyant force is simply the upward pressure difference on an object. Second, F sub B, the buoyant force itself, perfectly equals the weight of the displaced fluid. And third, average density determines the fraction of an object that's submerged. Comparing the object's average density to the fluid's density tells you exactly if it's going to float and what fraction of it will sit below the surface.
I really want to highlight this specific quote directly from our physics source material because it clears up a super common student mistake. It states, "The buoyant force is always present whether the object floats, sinks, or is suspended in a fluid." Please don't think that a sinking object doesn't experience buoyancy. Even a massively heavy iron anchor sitting in the mud on the ocean floor is slightly lighter down there, simply because the water is still actively pushing upward against it. Which leads me with a final, provocative thought for you to chew on. We've clearly established that Archimedes' principle applies to any fluid, right? Well, gases are fluids. So, how much is the heavy, deep ocean of the Earth's atmosphere buoying your physical body up right now as you sit there watching this? Think about the invisible forces acting on you every single second. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you